Hi, Somatic Yogis. I'm Megan, and thanks for being here for this practice for hips and heart. In the energy of the body, we see a direct correlation between certain chakras. So the sacral or Svadhisthana chakra and the Anahata or heart chakra have an intimate relationship. The sacral chakra is the space where we develop passions, those things that we feel we have to have, our desires. But remember, the passion is always often the things that we don't want. We think we just absolutely can't have anything to do with. So this is a little bit more of what I would say the Svadhisthana is more dualistic, the wants and the don't wants. That's the passion. We need that passion. But when we bring it up to the heart, the passion becomes compassion. And that is the non dualism of the complete acceptance of this isn't better than that. I don't have to have this. I don't have to not have that because it's our heart's desires. So, this practice is going to allow you to move from both of those spaces. And I'm going to ask you to start by laying down. And if you don't have a slo-mo ball, I use these quite a bit in somatic yoga, some sort of ball, you're going to want to have a folded blanket that you can bundle up a little bit like this. I also notice have a blanket on top of my mat because it gives me a little extra padding. So we're coming down to land. Let ourselves relax. Feel free to wiggle your legs, your arms, your shoulders, and just find the space that's comfortable for you. For any reason, extended legs pulls on your back or the front of your hips, then bend your knees and place your feet on the ground, or you could put that blanket underneath your knees. We're just going to be here for a few minutes, just resting in our space. And you might choose to place your hands on your heart, left hand first and right hand on top of the left, just to bring ourselves into the space of the heart center. And notice any physical qualities in the heart center. Can you feel your heart beating? Do you feel your breath flowing through? And the breath is the element of air, and the air is the heart chakra. So this is a good opportunity to feel yourself through that sense of airiness and lightness and movement. Air is movement. And I'm going to read a passage from the Radiant Sutras. And as I read it, just notice if there's any felt sense in your body. Do you feel it anywhere? Does it send your mind thinking about anything? Keep your hands on your heart, noticing your breath. The one who is at play everywhere says, there's a space in the heart where everything meets. Come here if you want to find me. Mind, senses, soul, eternity, all are here. Are you here? Enter the bowl of vastness that is the heart. Listen to the song that is always resonating. Give yourself to it with total abandon. Quiet ecstasy is here, and a steady, regal sense of resting in a perfect spot. You who are the embodiment of blessing, once you know the way, the nature of attention will call you to return. Again and again, answer that call and be saturated with knowing, I belong here. I am at home. If you want to take a few deeper breaths into your heart space, notice the movement of the physical breath. You can think of the lower lungs by the bottoms of the ribs, the mid lungs in the center of your chest, and all the way into the upper lungs around your collarbones. And breathing above the diaphragm into the chest cavity, where the heart resides. A few more breaths there. And then switching and locating yourself in your sacral chakra. You might even place your hands in call it Trimurti Mudra, where the hands are in a V shape, thumbs together and index fingers. And you can place that right on your low abdomen, coming into that space. You can imagine your sacrum, your sacred sacrum in the back, and taking that same shape as your hands. And just take a moment to be present in this space. We often call the hips the junk drawer of our emotions. And down here we recognize there is that good, bad, like, dislike. But just be present in this space and see if it feels good to direct your breath down more into your belly, below the diaphragm. Let your abdominal cavity move. And feeling that same rise and fall, just like you felt in your heart. And what comes up as you breathe to this space? And placing your right hand on your abdomen, take your left hand up to your heart. And I invite you to let the breath flow freely from bottom to top. So abdomen, chest, lungs, and empty in any direction you want. You can empty from the middle, from the bottom, from the top. So we feel that quality of air in the lungs, and that connects us to heart. But sacral chakra is the quality of water. And so much of our body is liquid and water. And if you want to elementally set yourself in those two spaces of air and water, recognizing both have their ability to move, water being more grounded, and it has to follow the path of gravity. Whereas air goes anywhere and everywhere. There's no limitations to air. Just like the difference between passion and compassion. There's no limitations to compassion. Taking just a few more breaths. Chronically bringing together these two spaces in our body. Be patient. Let your body open to this relationship. We'll move soon enough. But for now, just moving with your breath. And remember to picture your back body as well, the sacrum, the back of the door of the heart, between your shoulder blades. Maybe you can even sense moving in the back body. Use the ground for feedback. Last few breaths in and out. Can you feel a connection between that point of passion and the space of undeniable compassion? And if you want to set an intention, perhaps set an intention to come back into your space of your home, of your heart's awareness, anytime you need to, with your intention. If anything comes up from below, from that space of passion, the good, the bad, bring it into your heart and let your heart remind it of your intention. And we're going to bend the knees and place the feet on the ground. And just feel your pelvis. We'll start with a gentle movement from the sacrum and the sacred space of the Svadhisthana chakra. So as you breathe in, let the belly fill as it has been, but let it float up so that it lifts your low back off the ground. So this is our arch and curl. And as you breathe out, gently press the low back and low ribs into the ground and feel that slight compression in the front of the abdomen. So as you breathe in, abdomen stretches, low back compresses. Breathing out, abdomen compresses, low back stretches. Just taking a few of these nice arch and curls, moving from your pelvis. So this is the hips part, because the sacral chakra is in your hips, as well as your Muladhara, your root chakra. And if you need more of that, more grounding, come into your feet. You might also appreciate, instead of moving from the sacral center, the sacral bone itself even, making the same movement from your root chakra. So if you need more grounding today, if you're feeling anxious, think of your tailbone, and as you breathe in, press the tailbone down. As you breathe out, lift the tailbone up. So the movement will look the same, but you can move from your root chakra, the tailbone, or from your sacral chakra. And thinking of moving from your abdomen and your sacrum. What feels more soothing for you, more nourishing? Last round. And just allow your back and spine to rest. Land again in your body, any parts of your body that are touching the ground. And if you want, you can go back to hands on the heart, left hand and then right hand, acknowledging your heart. So we're going to do another arch and curl, but we're going to move from our heart center and allow the pelvis to respond, the hips to respond. So I'd ask you to take your hands up towards the sky, press into your elbows for a moment. Just let your wrists and your fingers be relaxed. And notice the space of the back of the upper arms and your shoulder blades. And now as you breathe in, push the backs of the arms and the shoulder blades into the ground. You might even think of squeezing the shoulder blades towards your spine. And as you breathe out, you're going to lift the arms up towards the sky and think of lifting the outer shoulders away from the floor. Go slow. Find that movement, pressing arms down, lifting the heart. Breathing out. Reaching your arms. Feel like you're gently hugging your heart. So in addition to pushing the arms into the ground on the inhalation, you could also come back to breathing into your chest, just like we were breathing into the belly to move the pelvis. Breathe into your chest. Let the lightness of the air of the breath coming into your chest help to lift you. There's a buoyancy there. So we don't just have to push with our bones and our muscles. Let it float up. And then squeezing that air back out on exhalation. So experiment with moving from the bones and the muscles in the heart itself a muscle, or the ability to move just from the quality of air in your lungs. Filling the lungs, feeling them float up like a nice dandelion seed on a warm summer day in the breeze, and then landing, that little bit of a squeeze. And just take a moment to notice how your pelvis is responding to this movement. We no longer need to move from the sacred sacrum or the tailbone. We're letting the hips follow the heart. Last one. Take your legs out long. Feel free to shake and just be still. Just 3 to 5 breaths and just notice. Let your heart soak up any new information. Land again in the back body on the ground. Now we'll be coming up to a seated position. So if you're feeling playful, you could grab your knees and rock up. You could also roll to your side. Take your time. And in the seated position, I highly recommend you bring a bolster or blanket or something in so you can sit up nice and straight. I bring a blanket in and put the corner forward. And we're going to be taking the legs out in front of us. But if there's any discomfort extending the legs because there's too much pulling in your low back or hamstrings, just place your feet on the ground. We can be here. You could also do a soft in between. So your legs could be extended, but you could put blankets or pillows underneath the thighs. So these are 2 different options. And first, just take your hands to your legs and just roll your legs around with your hands and feel that space where your legs become your hips. Can you feel right into your hip socket? Just rolling them around, letting them be relaxed. And then do your best to stack the base of your spine and the skull, the back of the skull, right over your sacrum. Let your ears rest over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips. So the shoulders carry the heart and the hips carry the sacral center. And then you may even want to set your hands on your hips for this awareness point and start to make just little side to side movements from your hips. Just like you're gently rocking in the breeze. Or you can come into the water quality, like a nice light wave. If you need more grounding, feel your sit bones. Feel yourself rocking from left to right on your sit bones. Then if it feels good, start to turn that side to side into circles. Easy circles. And you'll know by now if there's any pulling in your low back, then that option is there to be here. Knees bent or something underneath your knees, because we're giving the heart a gift, a sweet gift. But right now, moving from what I say is the upper hinge, the lower hinge right at your hip crease, upper hinge is at the waist. So moving from the hip crease, you can explore both directions. You can sense as you come forward that little bit of stretch around your sacrum and your low back. But let it feel good. And then we'll pause for a moment. Be still, land, feel whatever you can feel. And then if you can direct your breath again more into the chest cavity, feel your chest, you might even place your hands now on your ribs. See if you can make a little side to side motion with your rib cage. And here we have the ability to use our breath, the buoyancy of the breath. So if I breathe into my left lung, it sticks out a little bit and makes that side bend to the right. And I might breathe into my right lung. Let the right ribs open and spread like a fan. There's that air. So we're moving more from our heart, from our chest cavity. Find it first. If you don't need to use your hands, you can set them down. And then explore a front to back, a circular motion. So it might feel smaller than moving from your hips, but that's okay. The hips will still respond to the movement in your heart. And I like to imagine we have a light, because we do, a light in our heart, and that light is shining forward. And you're taking that light, like if you had I'm a big fan of headlamps. And so if you had your headlamp on your heart and you're shining that light all over, you've got your petzl. Let that light shine. And feel it from the back of your body too. So you might get your shoulders more involved. Moving your arms. Your arms are your wings of the heart, your extension of your heart. You can go both directions. Just loosening things up. And then we'll pause again and just sit for a moment. We're going to be doing what we call eagle arms in yoga. So for this first one, I'm going to take the right arm on top of the left. The first version, you can just take your hands to your shoulders if that feels best. We just want to feel a little bit of spaciousness in the back body and the shoulder blades. If it feels okay for you, you could also take the backs of the hands together. Sometimes we hook our thumbs or the palms together, whatever feels best for your shoulders. And then even if you're here with hands on your shoulders, lift your elbows up more to the height of the collarbones. Just lift them up so you can't see me anymore. And now feel your breath. And as you exhale, let your hands and your head fall one direction. Inhale, lift back up. And exhale, fall the other direction. So let gravity just take the weight of your upper body one way and the other. Inhale, effort to come back up. Think of moving from your heart space. Feeling that side bend. Last one. Come back up. And we're going to do the same movement, but we're going to alternate the direction of the head and the arms. So as you exhale, let the arms fall to the right and the head to the left. Not pushing it. Feel the weight of your skull and the weight of your arms. Inhale, come up. Exhale, fall the opposite direction. Like you're peeking out beyond your arms and your hands. As you're doing so, can you notice the space in the back of the heart door, breathing into your heart? And we come back to the center. So now I want you to start to make some of those circles from your hips. Let yourself move from your sacred sacrum. And notice how the shoulders and the arms are responding. And then settle in for a moment into the heart and the shoulders and see if you can move your arms more as well as the hips. So you're stirring your torso, moving from your hips and your shoulders, your arms. You can switch the direction. If it feels better to do the side to side motion first, you can do that. But as you start to circle, come forward so you feel a little bit more stretch in the back body. We're going to work our way slowly down to the ground. Your legs could be relaxed, or if you want to feel more muscular energy, press through the heels and the balls of the feet. You can feel your muscles hug your bones. And just working your way down to eventually where you can just rest your forehead on your hands. Or if it's too much to hold the arms in the eagle position, keep the arms crossed and just take the hands to the ground and let your head fall. We'll take 5 breaths into the back body. Think of breathing right in the space between the shoulder blades. And notice the spaciousness around your sacrum. Last breath out. Breathe in. We're going to breathe in and slowly lift up. So each breath, think of the buoyancy of your breath lifting you. And I'm going to hold my head on my hands. So you could even just do this. But as you breathe in, lift just a little bit. Breathe out and hold that position. So we're going to come up slow. Breathe in. Lift up. Fill your upper back. Float up. Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Lift up. So take a few breaths to get here. No hurry. One more time. Breathe in. See if you can set your head right on top of your shoulders. Undo your arms. Take your arms behind you just for a moment. You can clasp your hands and stretch your shoulders. And release that. Roll your shoulders around. Move your wings, wings of the heart. Check your seated position. You might want to shake your legs again. And then we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So this time the left arm's on top and hands could just come to the shoulders. Backs the hands together, thumbs hook or palms together. Lift the elbows up to the height of the shoulders. And as you exhale, let your arms and head just fall with the weight of gravity to one side. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, fall. Notice the response from the shoulders. Our shoulders are great protectors of the heart, but unfortunately sometimes they carry too much weight, right? So letting them move freely. And the head is following the heart. Coming back to the center, we're going to alternate. So arms fall one way, head the opposite. There's no pushing. It's just an ease of gravity, taking the weight of your head and your arms. Coming back to center on the exhale. On the inhale. That's the effort. Come back to the center. Now notice your hips again, that lower hinge, and start to make some circles from your hips. Just let your heart respond. Your heart feel the movement in your hips. You can go side to side first, start to come forward. And then let your heart in on the dance. Let it float around along with your hips, moving your arms in any way you want. Begin to open your upper back. Keep the neck soft, your jaw relaxed. And starting to look at coming forward little by little. Opening the back body, creating space. And eventually coming down, if it feels more comfortable to take the hands to the ground with the left arm on top, do that. Letting your head hang, or you can keep the eagle arms, resting your head on your arms. Feel the space that you created in your back body. Breathe into the backs of the lungs, left and right. As you breathe out, you can let the weight of your body drop, but breathe into the back, expand, float. Legs can be relaxed or slightly engaged by pushing through the heels. Or you might be doing this with your knees bent. Once again, coming up slowly, using your breath. Take at least 5 breaths. Lift up on the inhalation, float up. Exhale, hold that space. Inhale. Feel your back body like it's rising up in the water. Breathe out and hold. Breathe in and lift. Breathe out and hold. Eventually working your way all the way up where you set your head back on top of your pelvis. Undo your arms. Take them behind you. Give a little stretch. And let the arms relax. We're going to change our seated position. And we're going to be taking both legs over to the left, just like we're sitting in a skirt. Maybe you're sitting in a skirt. Maybe you don't wear skirts. But legs are stacked. And if it feels uncomfortable, take a blanket, put it underneath your hips, and lift yourself as high as you need to make it comfortable. So we can just let the legs drop. Take your hands to your hips, and as you breathe in, tilt the pelvis forward. So this is the arch and curl. Feel the stretch through the front body. As you breathe out, just let it relax. Now breathe into the back body where we just were in that eagle arms. Go into your curl. So squeeze the front body. Breathe out, relax. Breathe into your arch. Front body expands with the breath. Think of the water and the air element in the front. Breathe out, relax. Breathe into the back body, giving that some love, some space. And moving from the pelvis, tilting your pelvis back and forth. Okay, so we're going to continue the movement, but maybe place your hands at your heart for a moment. As you inhale, come forward from your heart and let your pelvis follow. Breathe out, let your heart land over your hips. Breathe in, take the back of the heart back. Breathe out, let it go. So it might be a subtle difference, but initiating the movement from your heart and letting your hips follow. If you want to add a little bit more for the arms here, as you inhale, you could take your arms out to your sides. Exhale, release. And then as you inhale back, I like to give myself a little hug. Squeeze the front body. Exhale, release. Inhale, open front body. Take your gaze up. Exhale, release. Inhale into the back. Give a little squeeze. And release. Enjoy one more round for yourself. Or if there's any place you just want to stop, you can do that. Can you breathe into the back of the heart? And letting the arms come down. We're going to switch the movement a little bit. I'm going to ask you to place your left hand on your left hip and your right hand on the ground. So feel that left hip, and you might even push the inner left knee into the ground and think of rotating your pelvis to the right, towards your right knee, and then breathe out and sit it down. So you'll feel some engagement through your little glutes and your outer hip, your big glutes, and then set it down. So you're rotating from your pelvis, inhaling, exhale, sit back down. Just little rotations from the pelvis, letting your heart and your head respond. Pausing. Let's take the hand to the shoulder, left hand to the shoulder. And now do that same rotation from your heart. Think of your arm as an extension of your heart. And as you inhale, let your elbow go, let your hip follow. And as you exhale, you can even turn all the way back with the shoulder. So leading with the arm, letting the hip follow. The other thing I note is that if you can breathe into your left lung, I do what's called independent suspension of the lungs. You're going to lift that left lung with the breath. Find that airy quality and carry it around. Breathing out, squeeze it out like a sponge. Always the invitation to stop anywhere you want. Coming all the way back around. This time, take both hands to the ground. Pausing there for a moment, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to breathe into your left side. So you can come onto your forearms and just rest there in this rotation. Sometimes I stack my fists to put my head on, or you could slip a blanket or anything else underneath your head. If it's comfortable to come all the way down, you can do that as well and extend your arms. But feel the length through your left side, the rotation. And anytime we do these rotations, we're taking the two halves of our torso, so I call them the girdles, the pelvic girdle and your shoulder girdle, in different directions. So energetically letting the heart go in one direction and the hips in the other. And it's okay. As you feel ready, slowly bring yourself back up. Push yourself up. And we'll switch sides. So taking both legs over to the right. And sometimes you need the blanket on one side and not the other, or needs to be higher on one side than the other. That's the case with my hips for sure. But finding your position where your shins can be on the ground, legs comfortable, stacking your ears and shoulders. Pausing there for a moment just to feel. And locate yourself in your hips. As you breathe in, tilt the pelvis forward. You can think of breathing to your belly because we're moving from the pelvis. Let the abdomen fill and float you forward. Breathe out empty. Just let the pelvis land. Now think of breathing into your sacrum and the low back and curl your low back. Exhale, release. Inhale, arch. Exhale, curl. Moving from your pelvis. And this may be a smaller movement, that's okay. Releasing at center. Now take your hands to your heart. We'll let our heart lead that same movement. So come forward with the heart. Exhale, release. And take the back of the heart back. Exhale, release. And just see if your hips are coming along for the ride with your heart. These gentle undulations. That is the wave. That is the wind. And if you want to add the arms, as you inhale forward into what we say is a back bend, open your arms, open up, spread your fingers. I even like sometimes to take my palms up and thumbs back. Breathe out, just release it. And then breathe into the back body. Back of the heart door, hug yourself. Squeeze the front body. Exhale, release. Inhale, open up. Open up for the heart embrace. Exhale, release. Inhale, back body, spacious. Front body gets the hug. Last round for yourself. And do you feel more of the quality of water or air flowing through your spine, moving these areas, the hips and the heart? And pausing. We'll be taking the left hand down to the ground and your right hand to your right hip. And feel this area because we're going to be activating those muscles in the right hip. You might help by pushing, think of pushing your inner right knee into the ground. That'll help to turn those muscles on. And as you breathe in, rotate the pelvis to the left, towards your left knee. Breathe out and just let it sit back down. Move from your hips, rotating and releasing. Let your heart and your head follow its way around. Following without force, nurturing, always nourishing your heart. Give yourself permission to do less. But feel the muscles activate in the hips, outer right hip, and then release. Last one. And then changing your hand to your shoulder. And think of your right arm as a wing of your heart. And as you breathe in, take that wing around like a bird turning in the air. Rotate all the way to the left. You can even reach through your elbow. As you breathe out, you can rotate all the way back the opposite direction. Feeling the rotation through the spine. And then coming back the other way. But noticing that you're letting your hips follow your heart around. Back and forth. Last one. This time when you're in that left-sided rotation, take your right hand to the ground, and you can even stay all the way up here, just pausing, coming down to forearms, letting yourself rest on forearms. The idea of stacking your fists or putting something underneath your head so your head feels supported, or even coming further down, extending arms. Notice a lengthening through your right side, perhaps breathing into your right lung, but also feeling the way the shoulders are turning one way and the hips the other, giving the hips and the heart this opportunity to go in different directions, physically and emotionally. As you feel ready, slowly walk your hands back in and up. We're going to come back down onto the ground where we're going to finish. And if you have your slo-mo ball, I'd ask you to bring it in. And if you don't, you're going to use a bunched up blanket. So the bunched up blanket would look something like this. I'm going to go with the slo-mo ball either way. We're going to come down to the ground. Let the feet land on the ground and the whole back and spine, the base of the skull. And then take the ball or blanket and put it underneath your pelvis. So we want to have it in a space where your low back can still be kind of long and hang. And wherever you want your legs, wider apart, your knees can fall together. But take this moment, whether it's the blanket or the ball, to let the weight of the pelvis feel that it's on a pedestal. You're putting your hips on a pedestal, lifting up your sacrum, your sacred center, and feeling supported in that area. And here comes the playful part. Make any movements you want from your pelvis. So you could dip it side to side. Think of the wave-like action of that water element and just roll around on your blanket or your ball. Obviously, there's advantages to using a ball, a little more rolly. But you can also be using the blanket, and you can do the arch and curl here too. But just letting your sacral center play and move. And you can move from the bones of your hips the sacral bone itself, that downward facing triangle. Or you might move from your ovaries if you're a female, your gonads if you're male, your stomach, anything else, move from your organs. Think of all of the organs that this beautiful pelvis houses for us. Direct your breath and your awareness into the belly. And then see, is your upper body responding to that water quality? I find that my head starts to roll, my shoulders move, but not in a way that there's muscular action. The muscles are relaxed. They're just responding to that flow of water, the movement quality. And then just pause and relax. You can leave your legs as they are, or we're going to be here for about 10 breaths. If you want a little stretch through the front of the hip flexors, you might extend one leg at a time or both legs, if that's comfortable. Making space in the front of the hips, front of the belly. What are your passions? And which passions nourish you? Which passions bring you to a space of fear? So what are you passionate against? If your legs are extended, slowly bring them back in. Place the feet on the ground. Pause for a moment with feet on the ground. And then lifting up just enough, pushing into your feet, engaging the legs. You can hug your inner thighs, lift up really slow, but we want to feel some engagement, like a counter pose. Hugging the thighs, you'll feel your glutes and hamstrings as you push into the feet. Lift up enough, slowly, 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 to get that ball out. Hold there for 3 breaths. You might even press the backs of the arms into the ground. And then we'll come down really slowly. So having a little play with gravity. Think of that water quality, because water wants to go down. As you breathe out, come down just a little bit. Breathe in and hold that space. Breathe out, give into that water element a little at a time. Breathe in and hold. Breathe out, drop. You're like a river flowing into the ocean, slowly letting the pelvis come down. And landing all the way down, relaxing. If it feels good to windshield wiper your legs or hug your knees in, listen to your heart. Your heart will tell you what your hips need. And then we're going to finish with either the blanket or the ball underneath the back of the heart. So if you're using a blanket, usually just a nice little roll is nice, is good. Nice. I'm nicing today. Nicing for the heart. And you're going to put it right between the shoulder blades, or right on the shoulder blades. I'm going to be using my ball, but this is going to be way too much air for the heart. So remember, the heart is already air, so it doesn't need that much more air. So I'm going to take it down about halfway. That's good. And my blanket, because my head will be lifted, and yours maybe too, is you're going to want to take perhaps a second blanket or pillow underneath your head. So starting with your knees bent and feet on the ground, take that ball or blanket right between the shoulder blades in the back of the heart door, letting your weight fall in. So if you find your head is way back here and there's discomfort in your neck, there's a difference between having your throat soft and open and discomfort, right? Then pull that blanket in and put it, or pillow, and put it underneath you. You can wiggle a little bit to find just that right spot in the back of the heart. I also lift my tailbone a length in my low back, wherever your legs want to be. So if you prefer Baddha Konasana and letting your hips open up, you're welcome to do that. I like to let my knees fall together, but let the hips, the sacred sacrum, find their space of peace and comfort. And then place your hands on your heart, left hand, right hand, right in the heart center. Come back to when we started just breathing into the chest cavity. And feel the movement of your lungs, lower lobes, middle lobes, upper lobes. Maybe you can even feel your own heartbeat again. And invite your heart to lead you through any movement that it wants right now. Teeny tiny little undulations, micro movements, bigger movements, side to side, arching, hurling. Start from the heart center. And if you find the movements start to get a little bigger, and you want to add your wings, moving in any way, coming overhead, creating more space in the front of the chest. Let your head respond. Let your hips respond. Be playful. This is not a yoga pose. There's no end goal other than to let your heart dance, the airy quality of the heart. And let your wings fly. Your interpretation of how your heart wants to express itself. Taking any more random movements, intuitive movements, and then stopping just to be still, placing your hands back on the heart. Notice what's there, even in the stillness. That saying of what gets loud when you get quiet. Just the beating of your own heart. When you're ready to come off the ball, slightly roll to one side or the other so you can take it out. Letting the back of the heart land. And find your position for your final rest. So knees bent, legs long. Invite you to place your right hand just below your navel center and left hand in the center of the heart. Take 3 rounds of breath, connecting hips and heart as you breathe into the abdomen, the sacral center, up through the ribs, the chest, fully into the lungs, and breathing out, letting it go. And if it feels good to breathe in the nose, nice cleansing breath out the mouth. You can sigh, make noise, yawn. Just the breath is that reminder of the non-dualism. We're always breathing in, we're always breathing out. It's the gift of life. Always vitalizing, energizing, and expanding. But that's followed by emptying, purifying, and compressing. Just let your breath flow through you. Let your breath breathe you. Hips, heart, everything in between. You're always welcome to stay here longer. That's the beauty of a home practice. Otherwise, before you do anything else, lick your lips. Feel your lips with your tongue. And turn the lips into a gentle smile. And let your heart feel that smile. Even when it's faked, the heart feels it. Not fake it till you make it, fake it till you become it. Notice what it feels like for your heart. You just put a gentle smile on your lips. And if you set an intention in the beginning, remind yourself of that intention or that heartfelt thought, word, any sort of affirmation. And say it so your hips can feel it too. And take your time coming up. Maybe rolling to one side first, rocking up. Use your hands to push yourself up. Thank you for being with me to join your hips and your heart. I encourage you to keep being passionate, but let that passion rise up into your heart as compassion whenever you can. Peace, joy, love, and light.